We are going to talk about the High Court in Bloemfontein finding that the extradition of former Free State Premier Ace Magashule's PA to have been unlawful. And the case was thrown out. Elton Hart is a legal analyst joining us on the line. Elton, I know it's a busy day for you, but we appreciate the fact that you made time. How are you?
Good on yourself, and good afternoon to the listeners.
Yeah, first and foremost, you know me, I'm just a part of the hoi polloi, right? I mean, how do you not know that as the NPA, it is not your business to go extradite somebody? It is the terrain of the Ministry of Justice. Don't these people, on the basis of the history of other cases that have been bungled, then don't you have the head of the NPA saying, guys, have you got your ducks in a row? Tell me what your plan is and how you are executing this. I mean, for crying out loud, we have Estina as an example of what happened. Please make me understand.
No, for me, it's not the first time that the NPA is involved in something like that, because there's also the Schultz judgment, and I think you might have heard about the Schultz judgment. The Supreme Court of Appeal made a ruling.
The one that they say they are appealing.
They are appealing, yes. And in their judgment, it was already stated that this is the procedure that you have to follow when you make an extradition. Although we know that the NPA is the person or the people that's going to decide on what and who and when a person is going to be charged. But still there's diplomatic channel, because the treaty for extradition was signed between the Minister of Justice and obviously his equivalent in America as to how they're going to do these things. So this is on a government level. Although it's legal and it's law, but it's on a government level. So for them to come and say that they do not know the procedures, I think that is a rookie, and they should have known that. And even so, when they actually realized that maybe in the Schultz judgment, the court said that is, then they should have alerted the authorities back then. And Cholota and her legal team was already saying this from the get-go. How they did it was not in line with the treaty and the Constitution. And for me, that is an unexcusable mistake.
So isn't there a meeting that needs to be attended by the head of the NPA and others to say, guys, this is a serious case. We've learned our lessons. Just give me a sense of breakdown in terms of how you are approaching this matter, so that if the extradition issue arises, you are then able to say, I'll speak to the Minister of Justice, or I'll write a letter to the Minister of Justice to kickstart this process. How does it work? Because I would have thought out of such lessons, they would have been obsessed with doing things the way they should be done.
No, I'm 100% sure when the NPA looks at these matters, obviously they should have a panel discussion, because this is a high-profile case. It's a case of public interest. They should update and say, listen here, what is it? What do we need to do? Is everything in order? And they need to follow certain protocols and processes. So the head of the NPA should also know what's happening in these cases. You can't tell me, as a head of an organization, you would not take an extra care or note of a case of this magnitude, because you would want to know exactly, because there's taxpayers' money and, public scrutiny. So they should have been fully aware and fully versed that what they did was sort of not in line with the treaty, because the treaty is very prescriptive as to how and when and by whom certain actions or acts can be done. So for me, I don't even see how they can, even if they want to go on appeal, how they're going to actually argue or justify the way out of this one.
Let's now go to the real issues. So my understanding is that the issue of extradition is one side, but the real accusations against here is the other. So on the basis of the court's decision today, is there a possibility that they would get to her to answer the questions relating to corruption? Because I heard you on another platform earlier on saying that indeed they can.
No, remember now, what the court only said today is that the extradition was unlawful. The court doesn't have jurisdiction to say that she cannot be charged in a different way, because the charges does not disappear. So I would think that the NPA should focus on not appealing this judgment, but rather to actually wait for the Schultz judgment, which is already on appeal. And once the court says, okay, this is the way forward, because now you're going to appeal this one, you appeal that one, instead of actually trying to make sure that if she was a critical or instrumental role player in the alleged offenses that happened in the asbestos case, it's best to go and focus as to say, how do we join her back into the proceedings for us to proceed with the case? Because obviously, if she was a critical role player, then you can't really successfully prosecute all 17 that is currently before court. If she was a role player and she has a certain role to play, because you need to have all the role players there so that you can tie up all the offenses to everybody. But that's their call to make, but that's how I see it.
Some people are asking, in fact, some people are saying they are insisting that I should ask you, is this what Magudumana was trying to achieve as well?
Magudumana was also looking at to get the extradition declared unlawful. Then it would have meant that the court will have to actually bring her back. Then she's free, like Cholota, she's free to leave the country at any stage, because there's nothing holding her back to say she can't leave the country. She can now leave the country because there's no charges, or the court doesn't have jurisdiction to hear, but she can be charged, she can be summoned, she can receive a written notice to appear at a court in a later, and that is the same that Magudumana was trying to achieve, to say, ma'am, you are free to go, and then she can most probably go wherever she is, and then they have to follow proper extradition processes, if there's an extradition treaty between the countries, to actually bring her back. And Chilota's, obviously, her application was successful. Magudumana was on the same trajectory, but obviously the court said her one, although judge, and it was the same judge that said, but he said it was a disguised extradition, but in this case he said straight up the extradition was unlawful.
Got you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your insights as always.
100%.
Elton Hart, legal analyst.